Gyrocopter. Rocket Barrage no longer has a cast point. Previously it was point 0.3. And Call Down Missile 2, which means the second missile slow has been increased from 3 to 4. Obviously the Rocket Barrage is a way bigger deal. Does this mean that you can... It's like Sven's Warcry, right?
Old Lishrak, anyone?
What do you mean?
The old edict.
The edict? Okay.
Yeah. It's basically... This is basically the new edict. The new old edict. I think this is sick, actually.
You can't push towers with it though, bro. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. But in lane, Gyro is a beast with this. Having no cast point means it's very, very easy to just... You just need to get in range. Like, he's sick enough as it is for level 1 fights, stuff like that. But
Does
this
this
is just
incentivize support
insane.
more than carry, or does not matter?
That's a good point. It benefits both. Maybe it's actually an even bigger buff for support Gyro, which isn't played that much, though. But, yeah. It's... I welcome the change, though. I think it's cool. And a really big buff, actually, compared to what it looks like. But, yeah. It's
but
nice.
That's equivalent to Warcry for Sven, right?
Yes. No cast point on that either.
Huskar, Inner Vitality cast range increased, which is nice for putting on teammates, since it's always super awkward. The cooldown has been decreased as well. My thoughts, since it's more important than syndereN's, correct me where I'm wrong here, this skill still sucks. It's just sucks. This might be bottom 20 as well. Thoughts? I think he just needs a whole new skill. He needs something else.
It's bottom 20 for other heroes. It's definitely... Okay, that sounds weird, right? Because how would it be bottom 20 for himself, right? When he has 4 spells, but... It's weak on allies, but it's really good on himself. And regardless, like... Then you could say the cast range doesn't matter because you... Let's say you only self-cast it. But the buff to the late... The 10-second cooldown, I feel like that's the same as the duration. Or even less. You can keep it going forever on yourself if you have the mana for it. The second buff is way bigger than the first, actually.
Okay.
And it allows you, with the low cooldown, I actually think it is shorter than the duration. Then you can have it on yourself and someone else. You don't have to choose between them. But yeah, it's kind of a strange spell because it kind of depends on the target hero having the right stats and everything, but it's okay, I guess.
Okay. Invoker. Int gain has been increased pretty dramatically. Invoke no longer triggers cooldown if you swap the ability slots. That means if you're just rearranging the... Well, basically what it reads there.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's... I mean, I don't play Invoker, but I can see that being very annoying. Sunstrike cooldown from 30 to 25. And this is an interesting one. Max level Deafening Blast, which means you have Quaswex and Exhort at all max level, is now a non-targetable circular wave released in every direction on Invoker. Basically a nuclear explosion that's
It's
white.
like, I have... This is my final form. You reach...
Yeah.
It's so random.
Insane.
Like, I don't know who gets this idea and why it gets it. I mean, it's cool and all, but are we starting... Is this like an experiment where we're starting to reach, like, super ultimate form? And this is something other heroes are going to start getting, like... When you reach level 25, you unlock this thing, or... I don't know. It's interesting, at least. I want to quickly mention, so this is fairly... the int gain is obviously a really big deal. Damage, mana for him, big deal, of course, and being able to cycle more spells. The swapping ability slots is not just a convenience thing. It actually does make a difference. Because let's say... let me give you an example. Let's say you've used Tornado and EMP, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to invoke Cold Snap, and then you have Tornado as the second spell. Then being able to swap them around determines which one you get to keep. So you can choose to keep another spell again, if you want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
When you cycle them. So it's actually not just convenience that you're like, I want to have it on this hotkey, this is how I like playing my combo, but it opens up for some more interesting circulation of spells. This is actually a really cool idea that I never thought of. I like that a lot. It's nice.
Okay, IO. Relocate, double click, now teleports to Fountain. Very nice.
Convenience change, that's fine.
Chihiro, strength increased by 1. Macropyre duration has been increased by a decent amount, and the area of effect has been increased as well. I mean, I don't get
This
it.
doesn't really change anything.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, what is IceFrog's obsession with Macropyre? It's like, let's just make this cover the entire map and last the
It's
entire
like Freezing
duration of the
Field.
game.
Macropyre and Freezing Field just seem to need a buff every patch, but...
Yeah, it's just like, it's like tradition at this point, right?
The biggest change here for me is actually the area of effect. That's more important than anything else. 15 AoE sounds like a very little bit, but it allows you to combo differently with your spells, and maybe there's 1 or 2 more choke points on the map that you can actually cover entirely or something like that.
It's amazing how much this hero's dropped off, though. It's unbelievable.
The main thing that killed it was that pushing got nerfed. That was what
Yeah.
you picked it for. Liquid fire pushing. So
Liquid Fire still good. Juggernaut. Blade Fury cooldown has been increased to make you actually want to level it and not just leave it at level 1 even though you're level freaking 21, which is, just annoyed me. Which, I mean, I understand why they did it, though. Blade Fury now has the same spell immunity on cast dispel behavior as spell immunities. I believe what this means is if you pick up a rune, like a haste, you can spin at max speed. Correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah,
Which is pretty cool.
that's actually a really big buff.
Healing Ward movement speed has been decreased a bit. I think it was a little bit too fast. Omni Slash no longer mini stuns on cast, which is probably the biggest change of him, I think. Using items and abilities in Omni Slash no longer requires facing direction. This is more prevalent for Blink Dagger, while in Omni Slash you don't have that small delay if you're facing the opposite direction. So just that's a minor buff, but I think the mini stun is huge nerf.
You got everything right. I agree 100% with everything.
Wow! What is this?
I mean, if you keep talking, at some point you're going to be right.
Juggernaut's the worst hero in the game. All right, you have nothing to add, really.
Not really. No,
Okay.
I think you hit it nail on the head with that
Good,
one.
nail on the horse. Keeper of the Light. Mana. You're gonna love this. Mana Leak cooldown from that to that. Basically a buff. Chakra Magic now adds a buff that reduces the cooldown of the next spell its target casts by up to 4 seconds at level 4. Buff lasts for 12 seconds. We'll get back to this in a second. Scepter Illuminate heal percentage from 75 to 100%. So your dream of Coddle mid is still alive. It's been buffed. And the Chakra Magic... Okay, this is the way I'm envisioning it, and tell me if I'm misinterpreting it, okay? Let's say you cast it... So the hero that I think of the most in this scenario is Quap. Can you tell me how long her cooldown is for Blink? Is it 4 seconds? I think it is. Look that up real quick. It's either 4 or 6.
I think it's 6. I think it's 6 and AM assist 5, or the other way around.
All right, well, whatever. Wait, what was I gonna say? So she blinks in, does a bunch of damage. He casts this. Wait. No. He casts this. This is how it works. He casts it on her. She blinks. She can do all the damage she wants and then blink pretty much right away again.
Yeah,
get away.
6 second
right?
cooldown. 6 second cooldown.
All right, so it's a 2-second cooldown in that instance.
Yeah, that's an example.
Okay. All right, well, what's the thing that comes up to your mind? I'm sure that's not the best example to come up with.
Well, the first thing is it's the target, so it should work on himself. That means you can spam Illuminate more, and it lets you farm faster.
I didn't think about that, yeah.
Unless if I'm misreading it, but it says the target, so I guess it includes himself. That's actually a really big deal, because it allows the hero to farm a lot faster. It makes him better in lane if you do want to try that, like off lane or mid or something. And it has some really crazy synergy with a couple of heroes. You were thinking Blink. I'm thinking something like a low cooldown stun. It's really sick with, so you can stun twice.
What low cooldown stun? Give me one.
Let me think. I think Chaos Bolt has a fairly short cooldown.
Okay.
I was thinking Sven stun, but that's actually decently long. Wraithfire Blast from Wraith King. Actually a very nice pairing of heroes. You can give him mana to allow him to ult. And I think Wraithfire Blast is an 8-second cooldown, which means effectively it's 4 after you cast it, and it stuns for 2. So you can't even TP between 2 Wraith King stuns.
That's pretty good.
Cool.
I was thinking also, even though it's not a stun, PL is still damn strong.
For sure, that's another thing people are thinking about.
Okay. Do you think this changes the hero? Is this now considered a good one? Don't even start with solo mid.
It's cool because it gives him a very unique mechanic. It's not the only thing that does cooldown reduction, as we'll get to later in this patch, but it's a very new mechanic that could prove to be extremely broken or maybe not that important. And it really depends on the hero, but it makes him appealing. I think it's pretty cool and makes a lot of sense for the skill, right? It's like you infuse the target with magic. You give them mana, and you no longer only give them mana, you actually give them cooldown reduction. I'm looking forward to seeing some cool strats built around this. I actually think it could be a pretty cool
Double
thing.
Quill Spray, 2 OP, man.
Absolutely sick.
Kunkka, want to see this hero way more, and I think we might because of some item stuff we're going to get to later, and also because of this. Kunkka no longer turns to cast Torrent. I mean, it was completely obvious when he was, well, I guess you can't really tell if you actually use it because you can cancel animation, but now it's even harder to know if you actually cast it. Torrent cooldown now reduced by 2 seconds, and X marks the spot costs less mana. This hero's cool. I want to see him more.
Yeah. Whoa, hang on.
Oh boy. Gonna give a stern talking to the construction workers?
No, I fixed it now. We're good.
Okay.
You hear me, right?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let me find Kunkka again. I scrolled down a bit by mistake here. Wow, there's so much in this patch. Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, I think the thing I was thinking with this is it's gonna be a lot harder to dodge Torrent. I don't know if you said this, but if you don't turn to cast anymore, you just see the cast animation, but you actually don't see where it is.
Right.
Torrent was very easy to dodge before because he was facing in the direction, and now that you can like cast it with your back turned to them or something, this hero is just cool. Like every patch, I feel like he gets cooler. There's so many trick plays with X Mark. Now with Torrent, the Ghost Ship has some nice combo potential and everything. I really love it. I don't mind seeing this hero get some buffs. And X Mark mana cost reduced is important. I think this hero in the past, if you don't get any stat items, he actually can barely cast each of his spells once when he's like level 6. So, I welcome the change.
Return is now 0. It was 0 mana a couple patches ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of mana reductions for this hero, spell-wise, in the last few patches. Legion Commander. Ooh, my goodness. Moment of Courage, counterattack chance is now static 25, so a big buff. Moment of Courage, lifesteal is now buffed, especially at the earlier levels. The Moment of Courage cooldown has been increased dramatically, though, at the earlier levels to balance everything out. We'll get. Let's talk about this first, then we'll talk about the cool stuff. Does this make her a better jungler, or what are your thoughts on the first 3?
I haven't done the math on it, but I would say so, yes. It makes her a better jungler, and it makes her a lot more reliable as well. Like 25% on Moment of Courage is even better than on level 4 before.
I'm
so
really happy
really
to see, because this hero just feels weird. You
Yeah.
know? Like really, like where do you put her? She's kind of crappy in the jungle for the most part, unless she's just left unattended completely. I mean, even then, it's not that you don't really farm that fast. Now I think it's a pretty decent buff, so I'm hoping to see her.
Yeah, it's a buff overall.
All right, and now the cool one. This is for when either you farm it or there's an alchemist on your team. The Aghanim Scepter for Legion Commander. Duel lasts until either Legion Commander or her target dies. They will end if they're 2,000 range apart, though.
How does that happen?
All right, so
answer me this.
X marks the spot.
Oh yeah, nice. I wasn't thinking about that. That's true.
Technically time lapse, which doesn't make sense unless you've read the patch notes.
Yep. And
What else?
Walrus Kick plus 4 Force Staffs.
All right, Walrus Kick, which is a new skill, which we haven't talked about. Like 5 Force Staffs, maybe. Wait, you can't Force Staff, can you? In duel?
No, but you can Force Staff someone else who's dueling, I think.
No, that's what I mean. So you can.
So you could Force Staff 4 times, and then if the enemy team helps you a bit or something.
Okay.
No, but even then, even if you get Force Staffed, your hero starts turning to run back to the duel. You can't do that.
Right. Okay. So on paper, I don't know. This could be either
worst
terrible...
Aghanim Scepter in the game.
All right,
hands down the worst Ags.
Okay.
This is garbage, in my opinion.
Complete
like, really,
garbage.
really bad. Yeah. I think it's super bad.
I don't think it's that bad.
When is that relevant? Like every
wait.
single
I'm
time.
trying to think of a worse Ags though. Hold on. Tinker. Even after today, Tinker's Ags is still worse.
Tinker's is better. Okay, so the only situation I can see this being useful is if the map is being split pushed, you're not strong enough to solo kill an opponent, and you want to duel until it ends. So you have like, I am really poor. Maybe you're poor because you bought an Axe Scepter and not an actual item. And there's like
there's an alchemist on your team in this scenario though. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say the only time. Okay, if I'm playing Legion, the only time I will ever get this Axe is if someone on my team plays alchemist. I'm like, hey, that sounds
the
cool.
The only time you'll get Ags is if somebody gives it to you.
Yes, yeah.
All right, hold on.
I feel like it's awful.
Okay, it could be awful. I'm gonna agree with you for the most part that it's probably awful in most cases, but let's just theory craft here. What if Legion Commander builds as a complete tank? There's somebody that it would take 10 seconds to kill him. He's so buff, but of course he can't kill Legion Commander that quickly. It could be considered a 10-second stun. Especially with a lot of items and other things we haven't gotten to that could buff Legion Commander's tankiness temporarily.
It's a cool idea. It's a cool idea if you completely revamp the item build and you get the Axe as like the 4th item, then maybe.
Okay.
But getting that particular item build is going to be really slow because it involves only tankiness and then you farm slowly.
Okay.
But
so
I like that idea. I didn't think about it. It's actually cool, but I still feel like what is it dual level 3? It's like 5.75 seconds, right? And when you see Legion Commander in competitive play, the duel ends. Like always ends, right?
Yes.
Either you get either get blown up or
Is
you
this
have
for
a team
pubs?
that actually
Okay.
synergizes with it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not impressed.
All right, I'm still gonna say it's definitely one of the worst ags. I think Tinker's is still worse, but we'll talk about that when the time comes because there's been some changes. Lash movement speed has been increased by 5. Lightning Storm cast point has been improved. Still, that 0.6 seconds. Holy Jesus, man! Lightning Storm slow duration has been increased as well. So overall buffs to Lash. Thoughts?
Yeah, these are some fairly minor buffs, but I like getting this hero buffed. I think regardless of what position you play him in, all of this improves him, obviously, apart from level 1 Lightning Storm slowing a 20th of a second less. Very irrelevant. But yeah, this is good. Slowly getting more and more love for Lashrak is something I can definitely
I
agree
always
with.
had problems with this hero, and I know we've talked about it to death, but I'm just going to briefly say my thoughts on this. He's all about positioning, and then his skills take forever to cast. It's like they contradict each other so large. Like it bothers me. Like I can't play this hero, and I can't stand watching this hero be played because it's just so awkward how long every spell takes. You know?
Well, it takes a 10th of a second less in Lightning Storm now.
Yes, thank God I don't have to wait that 10th of a second. Lich, Ice Armor cast range has been increased by 200. Chain Frost projectile speed has been increased, which it's tough to visualize what 75 move speed would do, but it feels like you get a lot more bounces out of it, especially in team fights.
Yeah, it's situational. I want to say this is minor, all in all, but it's probably going to result in one bounce extra in quite a few situations where they don't get to distance themselves enough. But
Yeah, I like it.
it's okay.
Lifestealer, oh yes! Feast is now considered as normal bonus damage, can crit and cleave off it, which means you can completely change the item build now for Lifestealer in my opinion. Open Wounds Lifesteal increased to 50%. Now this is a huge deal,
Oh my
not only for
fucking
Lifestealer,
God.
but remember, even though a lot of people forget this, it works for your teammates. Anytime they cast a spell on a hero that's open
Yeah,
wounds, you
even
get
for
Lifesteal.
spell damage.
It's insane now. And
This
an Aghanim
okay.
Scepter. Okay, we can talk about that first. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is, until today, this is the only ability in the game that allows spells to steal health.
Spoilers.
So let's keep that in mind. Spoiler for what's soon to come. But not only that, but increasing it to 50% is actually insane. Like, this is a huge buff.
Yes.
There's so much synergy with it, both for himself and for the teammates, and it helps him a lot with any role he plays, right? If you play a laner, in fights you stay alive much longer, or if you jungle, this actually allows you to sustain way easier, and maybe you can actually skip an item that in the past you feel like you would need. So this is really, really a big
And another
change.
thing to keep in mind that I just thought of, a lot of the stuff that's been buffed in this patch helps, especially one item in particular, I think helps strength heroes a lot. Lifestealer is considered the anti-strength hero, meaning he destroys tanky heroes. And with Feast
Yeah.
being considered normal bonus damage now, so he can actually get crit, which I think is actually really good, even more so a counter to the tanky heroes. I really like the
Yeah.
changes. All right, this is cool. Okay, we can talk about how this ranks. Aghanim Scepter upgrade for Lifestealer grants a new skill, Assimilate. Assimilate allows Lifestealer to target an allied hero and swallow them, allowing them to hide inside of Lifestealer. Kind of sounds like Heroes of the Storm, kind of. Any healing Lifestealer receives is shared with the assimilated hero. The assimilated hero can release itself at any time by clicking the buff icon to erupt outward and deal 300 damage to enemies in a 700 area of effect. If Lifestealer dies or assimilate another hero, the currently assimilated hero will automatically exit, issuing in blah blah blah. Thoughts?
This is some dumb shit, dude.
Hey, this is like Nake's bombs are even more powerful. You can
Yeah.
you can take somebody with you.
It's actually super cool. I feel like this is I want to say this is a situational pickup that can work. It's kind of like if you build a cool strat around it, this can be amazing, but it's very situational. And you need to remember how bad Aghanims is for Lifestealer. I mean, you get the stats, which every hero does, but he really doesn't need the mana that much generally. The health and damage is, of course, nice in the strength, but yeah, it's a little bit so-so, but yeah, like you said, you get some interesting Lifestealer bombs where he eats someone and then he infests into someone else.
All right, so I'm going to say this, syndereN. I'm going to make some predictions.
He's good with Alchemist.
Yeah, well, of course. Ags will not be farmed by Lifestealer. It's just, I don't think he's built for that yet. But he's on his way. A couple more patches. I mean, last time we saw Lifestealer changed, he got an ability where he can take over creeps. Well, technically speaking, if he can become a little bit better of a farmer in the jungle, which maybe he is now, I don't know, because Open Wounds is a lot better. If he can farm a lot in the jungle, he can assimilate. He can, God, that's such a dumb. He can eat a hero, then go inside a creep and gank with that creep. Not to mention if you have like a Storm Spirit, you can just use that instead of the creep, but there's a lot of cool little things you can do. Cheesy ganks, if you will.
Yeah, or he could just, you know, if you want to go the full utility route, you can get Ags and a Blink, and then you can be the bomber, basically. Then you open up.
You can use your skill almost like a snowball, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said though, it's expensive and it's not the best stats.
It's very awkward. It just feels like they're
Yeah.
taking him away from this carry route, and like you said, building him more as utility. But
It's
not all
super fun
there
for
yet.
pubs. It's really
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just an entertaining ability. It's going to make for some really funny plays. I can always welcome that.
But even like forgetting the Ags, which I don't think is ever going to happen in a competitive game. I could be wrong. The other two are still pretty big. Is that enough to bring him back?
He already kind of made a little bit of a comeback in the Chinese scene where they tried to use him as. So a lot of teams were struggling with breaching high ground, and you started picking heroes that were really good at just being a siege vehicle, and you use rage, you hit the tower for 5 seconds, you run out, reset, re-go until you break down the tower, then you start in the racks. So I think the change to this version and also the more emphasis on killing, which it suits Lifestealer more, right? He's not that good at he doesn't flash farm. That's one of his weaknesses compared to a lot of the farming carries. Now that there's more emphasis on killing rather than farming, I think that could definitely bring him back. The open wounds lifesteal changes
Do
ridiculously
you get
good,
Battle
actually.
Fury? Is that good?
Because the feast can cleave, you mean?
Yeah.
That could be a build, actually. It might be worth it now.
I mean,
I
you
don't
can
know.
just build him like.
It's one of those things
anti-mage
you
or
have to
something.
try. You have to try to get a feel for how good it is.
I feel like this hero is just
possible.
all over the place. I have no idea what to think. Some of it's really cool. I mean, the ideas are cool. I just don't know how it meshes together yet. You know. Interested to see what happens. All right. Lena, Aghanim Scepter upgraded. Laguna Blade no longer increases cast range. I think she probably needed a bit of a
fair
nerf.
enough.
This is fine. Lone Druid, true form is no longer moved on death. This is mostly just applied to when you have an Aegis. So having an Aegis is actually that much better on Lone Druid. It's already pretty good because the bear stays alive now, or it did for a while now. Battlecry armor increased. Battlecry damage increased. And Aghanim Scepter has been added for Lone Druid, and this one is super cool as well. Allows Spirit Bear to attack at any range from Lone Druid, so there's no leash, and it prevents Spirit Bear from dying if Lone Druid dies. This is freaking huge, I think.
It's actually super cool. And this hero is a hero that will, in a lot of games, actually be able to fill up his bear with items and then start itemizing on the hero. In competitive, you have seen like 7 or 8 or 9 slot lone druids, and this for me would be the go-to item after you filled up the bear. You can even consider it earlier. That it kind of depends, but out of all the funky Aghanims upgrades we've seen today so far, this is my favorite in terms of how good it actually is. It's really good for split pushing. It's like, I feel like Admiral Bulldog sat down with Astruck and he was like, okay, I want to play my favorite hero and I want it to be even better at ratting. Like, this is what I want.
It really is.
It's pretty cool, and the thing is, when you get the eggs, I mean, intuitively you're going to think a lot about split pushing and just hitting buildings, but it's actually cool for team fighting too that there's kind of, you have this, your first bear is actually 0 risk, right? You can just keep your hero 2,000 range behind and have the bear attack. And then your second bear, well, both bears, really. You just, if you feel like you're in a game where it's very difficult for you to position your hero and not get focused down, you just buy Ags and you can stay in theory, just stay in your base with the hero.
Yeah,
just let the
especially
bear
when
battle
your
work.
bear is probably more powerful than you in a lot of ways.
It's a problem if your bear dies though and you're in base and you need to resummon it.
Does Battle
It's in base.
Cry... That's not AoE, right? The bear doesn't have to be close for it to go off?
It targets you and the bear. I think there's no range
it's
limit. I'm pretty sure.
Global, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even a fan of this hero, but that is such a cool...
It's
like,
really cool.
It makes
this
sense
is
in
nice.
every single way that I'd be shocked if it's not picked up, because even just the Ags itself, the stats on a hero that you just want to tank on, I really like it.
It's pretty good.
Luna base armor increased by 1, so she's literally unkillable. Eclipse per
hero.
unit cap increased by 1 as well.
That's pretty big.
And then Aghanim Scepter, which she already had an Aghanim Scepter. I think it changed it so it's unlimited. There's no cap, if I'm not mistaken. Which I don't know if that's still the case, actually. That's something to maybe... Wait, that was the thing, though, right?
The Ags on Luna?
Yeah. There was no cap before.
It removed the cap and increases the number of beams, I think, by a bit.
I don't know if that changes on this. But anyway, this new one allows Eclipse to be cast on an area within 2,500 range. Grants obstructed vision of that area. Can also target any allied unit to center Eclipse on the location even while moving. Okay, so first of all, I'm not sure if there's still the cap limit or not from the old Ags. I don't
There
see
shouldn't
Luna
be.
buying this unless there's an alchemist, unless you disagree. I mean, if used, it's ridiculously good, right? But
It's like one of those abilities. What's really cool about it is the problem with getting Ags on Luna is that you kind of don't want to run into a fight with that item if you're not tanky, right? It's just a build-up that isn't really that appealing instead of playing her as a carry. But when you can cast it away from yourself, it actually doesn't matter what other items you have. 2500, it says obstructed vision, so I guess that means you can't see over trees. It doesn't give flying, but you just see the, like,
right.
it's still a huge area, really. 2500 is insane.
Basically, you can Ags, or you can ult Roche Pit from 20.
Oh wait, it doesn't say how big the area is.
Oh, wait a second. No, it doesn't even work on Roche Pit, does it?
I don't think it works on Roche Pit. But it doesn't say how big the area is. That's actually... I think you need to see it in play, right?
What do
it
you
just
mean
say
it
you
doesn't
can
say how
cast
big
it.
the area is?
It says what the range is.
Right.
You can cast it on an area within 2500 range. That does not mean the area is 2500 range big.
No, well, the area is the same area that the normal spell is, though.
So how big is that, though?
I
The area
have no
around
idea.
Luna.
Right.
I think that's like... Is it a 500
Maybe
radius
1,000?
or something?
500.
So that would be 1,000 in diameter. Or is it... No, it's more. It's like 700 radius, maybe. I'm
Okay.
not sure. Well, regardless, okay.
But anyway, you
I
can
don't know.
also, if you're like getting to a fight late, you can cast it on an ally, and it'll follow them around as if you're Luna. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty
like you
cool.
said, the problem is like, when would you build this on Luna if there's not an alchemist?
Yeah,
on
I
the
don't
team, right?
I feel like out of all the changes, the most important one is actually the second one, with the extra hit on one unit, because this applies to every game with Luna. That there's a lot of times in ganks where you could, when the ultimate is level 2 or higher, being able to hit 5 times instead of 4 is actually really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, base armor increased by 1 is also, like, she's a very fragile carry. So this is a, generally fragile carries do not get buffed this way. It's a very, very big change for her, actually, the first 2 points, I would say. But yeah, Axe super situation.
Deuce, Split Shot and Mana Shield are no longer removed on death, and
Very
this is
good.
similar to the Lone Druid, True Form, and
Yep.
soon to come Troll Warlord Berserker's Rage.
Mainly a buff to Aegis,
Yes.
like you said.
Meepo. Geostrike damage has been increased, and Divided We Stand no longer causes Meepo to respond 20% faster, which is obviously a nerf.
Thank God.
I don't. This hero just sucks though in competitive, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I have like a tier list, or a list of things I would like to see with Meepo. Number one thing I would love to see is to make him less of a pub stomper and a better competitive hero. Second on my list, if I do not get my first wish, just make him worse in pubs. That would be great.
That's fine
So
with me.
I'm getting my second wish, I guess. Like, the damage on Geostrike is not that relevant. Of course, when you have like 5 Meepos and they all attack, it actually adds up to quite a bit of damage, but it's generally not the problem. The
Right.
respawn time, the fact that kills on Meepo are a lot more meaningful now is great. Like, it was a cool change when it was first introduced. I just felt like Meepo got too many buffs in a row, but the buffs weren't good for competitive. They were good
okay,
for pub stomping.
Correct
so.
me where I'm wrong on this one. I disagree to some degree there, because I thought killing Meepo was just as strong before, because in fact it's more strong now, because he always has a gold advantage. So anytime you kill him, he's gonna give over a ton of gold, right? Well, I guess there's been some changes, so maybe not as much.
That's been
anymore.
nerfed. And more than anything, he had an XP advantage.
That's right. This hero's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
They keep changing stuff.
It's
like
okay
going
to have
back and
gimmicky
forth.
heroes. I would just like a better application of him in competitive. But I don't have a very good idea. So it's like I'm asking for something, but I don't actually have a solution. So I don't know. It's tricky.
Marana Starstorm's second hit range from 175 to 325, and the second hit now strikes the unit closest to Marana. So this
Nice.
is something, it felt like it almost never went off, because 175 is like nothing. You have to be inside the hero, basically, to get this off a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm glad they changed that.
Yeah, this is a good buff. I think it's perfectly fine.
All right, now this, we're going to get to some juicy stuff again. Morphling, Adaptive Strike now has, let's talk about this one first. So now has 1150 speed projectile. So the way I look at this is, so there's two ways to play Morphling, and they're both played a decent, well, the support's been a little bit more often lately. So support Morphling, this is a nerf. So like as the enemy team, you can see the projectile coming and maybe do something about it. But as a carry, I think this is actually a buff, believe it or not, even though it's slower, because you can queue up your E-Blade with Adaptive Strike right after and not have to have this awkward, waiting for it to go off or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, actually, that you could do it that way. I didn't think of that at all. Yeah. I don't know
we
if it's
don't
a
really see
buff,
that.
but it's convenient sometimes. Yeah.
All right. Aghanim Scepter upgrade to Morphling. Grants a new ability, Hybrid. Allows Morphling to target an ally, turning himself into a hybrid illusion, removing the Morphling himself. This hybrid illusion can cast non-ultimate abilities and has your original attributes. Lasts 20 seconds. When the duration ends or the hybrid dies, your hero emerges. Cooldown, all that good stuff. Okay, so if it's a hybrid illusion, a hero like Lion should still own it pretty hard, if I'm not mistaken, just by reading that.
Yeah, it's an illu, so yeah, you can just remove it.
If you go all agility and then make an illusion of somebody like, well, any agility hero that's a hard right clicker, like Drow, then it hurts even more. Is that what I'm reading into as well? Is that correct? It takes Morphling's agility, or Morphling's original attributes?
Yeah, but it doesn't get Drow's ultimate, which is a lot of her damage, but it's still really good.
How do you know it doesn't get her ultimate?
Because it says it doesn't get ultimate abilities.
Well, you can't use. That's what I thought it meant. Can't use ultimate. Maybe.
I guess the ultimate slot is like muted. Like you don't get that part of the hero.
Yeah, that could be.
But okay, just to make sure, what spells can you cast with this? Let's say you make a hybrid Sand King. What spells can you use? You can use Burrow Strike, Sandstorm, and you have Caustic Finale, but you do not also have Waveform and Adaptive Strike, right? You turn into him.
You turn into the hero until it's killed, and then you turn back into Morphling.
Okay. The other thing just sounded extremely broken.
Yeah, well, this one could still be really. I mean, again, all agility. You turn into Sniper. You get 3 shrapnels. That's another one. I assume at least. What else?
Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of really broken sounding ones. And the thing about Aghanim Scepter is, if you're playing support, this is legitimately something you can pick up. I think it's just pretty.
I think this item is super good, especially on support, like you said. It just gives you more abilities, right? Ultimately, like let's say you copy a Lion and you have a clone that can actually run in Hex and Impale, and then if they kill it, you just come out with your real Morphling afterwards. Like it's undeniably really good in the right situation. Like if you have the right teammates, it's amazing. If your teammates don't have synergy with it, well, just don't buy it. Right? Then you just play it the usual way. So the way I see it, it's a buff in either way, and this is a really good pickup in many games compared to the others that just looked way more like gimmicky. This could actually be a solid pickup in most games.
All right, so what does this mean though? Hybrid illusion. Does that mean, like, what does an illusion usually get as far as damage from, like, if Drow pops, not Drow, Sniper pops an illusion with either a rune or Manta, it gets like, what is it, 40% damage or something? What is it?
Oh god, I can't remember.
Well,
how
whatever
much
it is,
damage.
it's a lower percent damage. Does that apply here, or is this like literally you're the hero? You know, I assume it's like the illusion.
It says it has your original attribute. Like that's up to interpretation. Actually, I'm not sure. If it has full damage, I think that's pretty insane in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I think the way that it makes it sound is that the usage of spells is going to be probably the most useful part as opposed to right-clicking.
But then the question is, do those spells deal full damage, or do they deal illusion damage? Because it's the first time ever an illusion can actually cast something in Dota.
The fact that they don't mention it leads me to believe it's full damage.
Okay.
And I know there's some spell, like I'm not thinking of any right now. Like I probably should have thought this beforehand, but there's got to be some skills that are just ridiculously broken. That aren't, like, what hero doesn't have that great of an ultimate that the reason is because the rest of his skills are so OP?
Wind Ranger Shackle Shot? Well, she got changed. She has a better ult and stuff.
I don't know. Anyway, but like,
I feel like it's pretty sick if you get an Enigma illusion and you drop like 2 Midnight Pulses, for example. You can't push into that.
Yeah.
But it has a very long cooldown, the ulti, or this Morphling thing. It's 20-second duration, 140 cooldown. So you just wait then. Like there's some cool, especially zone abilities that are really powerful if you have 2 of them. But
oh my god! So when this new hero comes, I'm not saying he's coming. I think Pit Lord probably will come next, but the hero after that.
Zet. Yeah.
What's his name?
Zet, Arc Warden.
Arc Warden. That's right. So I don't want to get into it, but he can kind of do something similar to this, except he can use items, right?
Yeah, but it's only his own stuff. He can't copy
right.
anyone else's.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Some weird shit going on here. Like, this is just messing with me now. Okay, I like it. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's cool. We'll see.
Naga Siren. Ensnare cooldown from 14 to 12. Ensnare is now dispellable. Can still be cast on spell immune units. Ensnare is no longer removed if target becomes ethereal. Okay, so my thoughts before we get to the Ags. It's kind of like an overgrowth, single target overgrowth now. I never understood why you could not get out of ensnare. It didn't make sense, other than with ethereal, which is even more random. But I'm glad that they did this.
Yeah, this makes sense. I think it's fine.
And then Aghanim. Okay, I think this is not a good Ags. Song of the Siren Scepter now regenerates you and nearby allies by 6% of maximum HP per second for up to 7 seconds. So the reason I don't like it, unless the only way that I think this might be good is if like Envy or somebody has is 8 slotted and it's just one of the ones on the courier.
You can't drop Ags though, right?
Yeah, you can. Only certain heroes you can't. Like Ogre, you can't.
Oh yeah. So yeah, the heroes. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, the heroes that get that don't get a new sub ability can drop it, right?
Right.
So you can't drop it on Treant, you can't drop it on Ogre, you can't drop it on... Is that it? No, that might be
well, I can't say for sure. I know some of them you cannot, but not definitely most of them you can.
You're right. It's a cool 7th item, and I think it's actually situationally good on support Naga, which does get played. So it could work for that. It's okay. It's a cool idea. It's one of the new creative ones like we talked about.
That's true. I didn't really think
I agree.
I
it's not
haven't
that
seen support Naga in a while, but I guess that does make more sense. Like for carry Naga, it almost never makes sense, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, Nature's Prophet, Sprout cast increased. Excuse me. Sprout duration increased. Nature's Call Treant base damage is up by 6.
Bulldog has been talking. Like, there's no
seriously.
way.
Lone Druid and now Prophet. That is
his hero's getting mega buffs.
Aghanim Scepter upgrade. I'm assuming it gets the old benefit, which is increased damage. They don't actually specify, so. But when you use it and you get a kill on a unit, it spawns a Treant. And if you kill a hero, you get a Treant that has 3 times the damage and health.
Do you know how much health that is?
I do not, but I know they have like magic resistance, right? Or is that?
I can't remember if that got entirely... I can't remember what their percentage is on magic resistance, because it got like nerfed, and then it got nerfed again, and then maybe it got removed or it didn't. I can't remember, but... Regardless, I do believe these Treants have 550 health, okay? And like, you can see their damage is 22 to 28. So if you kill a hero with Wrath of Nature, you get a creep that has 1650 health and 70 damage to push with.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty cool. And then get a refresher Ags on this hero and just start pushing. Like, it's actually now that's an alternative pushing build that could work, because you kill every single creep in all lanes if you use 2 ultimates, and you get Treants everywhere. It's actually going to be a nightmare pushing against Prophet in general in mid-late game is very difficult if he has a good game. If he goes for an Eggs now and optional refresher, he can actually just take over the map. Even get spawn Treants in the enemy jungle with ult and just farm.
You can spawn monster Treants with Nature's Prophet. You can push towers from across the map with the bear.
Yeah.
Like, good lord, man.
It's actually really... I think this is really cool. I don't know if it's too good, though. Like, it's very hard for me to assess how good that is, but it's a really fun idea.
All right, Night Stalker. Void attack speed slow has been increased. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
This hero has been getting some love, too, so...
Yeah, support mainly.
Good to see.
Pretty
Nyx Assassin. All right, another cool one. Using Spike Carapace no longer removes Vendetta, which is nice. And added an Aghanim Scepter upgrade to Nyx. Adds a new ability, Burrow. With a 1-second cast time, you become a lurker from StarCraft. While burrowed, Nyx Assassin is invisible and unable to attack or move, but has 40% damage resistance and regenerates 1.5% of his health per health and mana per second. Also, Nyx Assassin's abilities have been improved. So while burrowed, like Mana, Burn, and Impale have 50% cast range increase, and the cooldown for Impale is reduced from 13 to 9. And Spike Carapace instantly stuns any enemy's units within 300 area of effect without requiring them to hurt Nyx first. So you can either burrow out or casting Vendetta just ends it as well. This is pretty damn cool.
I'm just imagining this kind of game where the enemy team is trying to high ground and you burrow your Nyx on the high ground and they don't have detection. And they walk up, start hitting the tower, you pop Spike Carapace, you just start impaling out of the ground. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
So I tested this out a bit. The area of effect is... So actually, the original thought I had was you get a Blink Dagger, you blink Burrow, and then pop Spiked Carapace. But the Burrow takes like half a second to go off.
I think it takes 1 second, right?
Is that what it says?
Yeah, 1 second cast time.
Oh, okay. Takes 1 second to... I think unburrowing is pretty much instant, though. So I don't know how viable the Blink Spike Carapace is, but it sounds cool.
It's a cool situational item for this hero because it's not a hero that generally wants to get like big late game items. He generally itemizes utility anyway, like Dagon, Hex, Orchid, Blink, Force Staff stuff. So I could see this being a build. And if nothing else, once again, it's just cool, right? It's funny.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I mean, Lurkers were the reason I played Brood War, so I'm happy about this. Omni Knight, Purification cast point has been improved by 0.1. Okay.
Nice, my boy Omni. Good.
Oracle. Purifying Flames, mana reduced. Purifying Flames, cooldown reduced. I don't remember what skill this is. Purifying Flames can now target non-hero units.
It's the one that deals damage and then heals.
Heals, okay. False Promise is the ultimate. No longer makes the target invisible, but now continuously removes debuffs and disables instead of only when first cast. So before you cast it, it makes them invisible, and it's kind of like Abaddon's Shield where it just removes everything. Now it's just constant. You can't stun them. You can't put any negative debuff. It is nerfed in the duration just a bit by a second at each level, and the cooldown has been increased dramatically, which is probably one of the bigger deals. But what do you think?
I feel like this is going to be, for me, in most cases, this is better than the old one. But of course, the cooldown nerf is really significant because it means in most, like if you look at the cooldown now, in most fights you cast it once. In the past, there would often be fights where you cast it twice. So I think it's better, but
here are my thoughts.
All in all, okay, go ahead.
Tell me what you think. He is about the same in pubs, maybe a little bit worse, because people don't buy detection. If he was in competitive, he would be much better. This is a huge buff as far as his ult is concerned, but then they counteract it with the cooldown, right?
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways,
he's not in CM.
I know. I'm saying if he wasn't CM.
Yeah, I agree.
So all in all, the actual biggest deal could be the duration of the ult, or the cooldown, I should say.
I think the biggest deal is that you actually just turn an ally. Like the only thing, it's actually 6 seconds on level 1 in which you can do whatever you want. They can't stun, they can't slow, they can't silence, and you just like even they have to deal a lot of damage to you, but you can't avoid taking damage in return. That's what's crazy. So
well, that's what I'm like. So in pubs, this, let's just say in pubs this is about the same as the old one, because the ult itself, some can consider, I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm talking about lower level, where you don't have any invis detection. This could be considered worse, kind of. But obviously, I don't think it is. The cooldown kind of counteracts it. In competitive, if this wasn't competitive, this would be an enormous buff to the hero. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yep.
I didn't explain it very well. But anyway, not a hero we have to worry about in CM quite yet. Outworld Devourer, Aghanim Scepter Sanity's Eclipse now upgrades, or now affects everyone in the area of effect with Astral Imprisonment after it deals its damage. The Eclipse upgrade no longer always triggers the mana drain and does not increase the damage multiplier by 1.
You know what? This hero with Axe Refresher is absolutely fucking filthy.
Tell me,
it's insane.
I feel like the Astral Imprisonment thing is so awkward, though.
Alright, so here's what it's going to do. Let's say, okay, we're not expecting the, you know, if you think of Dota that way, let's not expect the 5-man Astral wombo or Sanity's Eclipse wombo combo, right?
Okay.
Let's say your average team fight with OD, you will very often be able to hit 2, maybe 3 targets. Like, it's a pretty big AoE, right?
Yes.
So let's say you hit 3 targets. What this will do is, it will deal damage based on your int. It will steal 39 intelligence instantly. And when they come out again, you like, okay, let me try to give you a likely team fight scenario here. Fight breaks out. You astral someone. You steal 13 intelligence. Fight develops. 3 heroes ultimately stack up at one point. You cast ultimate. You steal 39 intelligence, deal a truckload of damage to 3 heroes. You have now stolen 52 intelligence. Now you refresh it and cast it again, where it also hits people that are in astral, right? Mm-hmm. So if they have BKBs, they actually can't counterplay it. The most important thing here is that when, like, if you use it as an opener, in the past when you opened with OD and you used ult, people would take a lot of damage and then they would BKB, right? And then after that, you don't really have much to bring to the table. Now you deal massive damage, you take heroes out of the fight, and then you just snowball off it in the fight, right? It's like you hex 3 heroes at once, but you can't attack them, but you just take them out and you outnumber your opponent very easily. I think this is way better than the old one.
It's worse in pubs.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I still think pubs will learn to play around this fairly quickly.
Really?
It's very
you have a lot of faith in pubs.
the only, like, there was like mainly one hero that the old OD Axe was super good against, and that was Medusa, because she didn't like getting BKB, and it just removed all her mana with the mana drain. But so I want to say it's a nerf against the Medusa and kind of a buff against every other hero in the game. That's what I feel. It's really.
I mean, the old Ags was kind of underwhelming for OD anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
But okay, that does sound. I mean, with Refresher, it sounds pretty ridiculous. Phoenix Fire Spirits now. Phoenix. Okay, Fire Spirits now does an unobstructed reveal of the air. That was weird wording. Hits for 1 second. So it just gives a little bit of vision. So if you're throwing into the Roche Pit, you can get vision of what you're actually hitting.
Yeah, and it makes it easier to chase heroes because it has really long cast range, but during nighttime you actually can't see if you're hitting. You get some information with every cast. I think it's okay. If it turns out it makes the hero too good at nighttime, you could nerf it some other way, but it just seems like a very intuitive... Like, it makes sense that you can see with Fire Spirits. I mean, come on, it's fire, right?
Yeah, it's fire, bro.
Fucking fire. So Breathe Fire should also give vision.
Yes, everything should give vision this game. Waning Rift damage increased at the earlier levels.
Fair enough.
Good. Pudge Rot Move Slow has been increased at the level 2, 3, and 4.
Also okay. Not really that big a deal.
Great hero. Pugna. Okay, Decrepify an enemy slow from 50 to 30, 40, 50, 60, so better at the later stages. Decrepify enemy magic damage amplification has been increased at the higher levels, nerfed at the earlier. Makes you want to level this, I guess, past level 1, which I think a lot of people left at level 1, right?
Yeah.
The duration has been increased to the static 3.5, which is equivalent to the old level 4. The cooldown has been increased at the earlier levels, but the same at level 4 again.
So let's quickly, before we move on, let's talk Decrepify. I feel like this, unless you have some really, like, the problem with Decrepify level 1 in the past was that the duration was so short that a lot of the abilities you wanted to combo with it were not able to land in time.
Namely your Nether Blast?
Nether Blast in a lot of situations, but like also if you're playing synergy with your team, like often if they have like some sort of travel time on the projectile or whatever, it's a very narrow timeline. So it's nice that you have 3.5 seconds, but in every other aspect, this is actually nerfed on level 1. And the problem is now that you have to skill it up, it means you're not skilling points in others. So I actually don't like the damage amplification change where it goes 30, 40, 50, 60. I think they should have kept that flat 50 and changed the rest, maybe. Because, like, you're saying you want to level it, but the problem is it makes the hero even less attractive, because you need to level it a lot before it's as good as it was before, it seems. And then it's better on level 4. But both on level 1 and 2, I feel like it's just a weaker ability in the vast majority of cases. So, I don't know. This doesn't really feel like that big of a buff to me.
The buffing and nerfing of this hero is very counterintuitive. Well, as we go on here, let's just continue. Life drain damage and restore per second has been increased. The cast range has been nerfed at level 1, but it's better at level 2 and 3. Or no, it's actually worse at level 2 as well.
Yeah.
And the Aghanim Scepter upgrade life drain no longer increases cast range. So it's like for life drain, I mean, do they want this to be a support? Do they want this to be a core? Because if they want it to be a support, they just nerf the crap out of them with the life drain. Because you're not going to get level 16 that fast.
Unless if I'm misreading something, I don't feel like this hero got better this patch. Like, I feel like it's situational like before, but the thing that used to be situational anyway was Decrepify, and it's not really getting better. Like, Life Drain having more... I feel like the new Life Drain is going to be worse in most cases. Like, Pugna wants to take advantage of the range. That's what makes Life Drain good, is that you cast it from far away, and it's not that easy to counter. But with the cast range upgrade removed from Aghanims, and with your lower cast range on level 1, I don't know.
Well,
like,
the hero got better as a core, didn't he?
I don't know. Like, you need levels still.
Yeah, well... That's what I'm saying. If you're playing support, you're not going to get the levels, and this is definitely
Oh, yeah.
nerf.
What I mean is Life Drain... I feel like Life Drain is worse on level 1 and 2. Like, even if it drains more, the cast range is actually a really big deal. Okay, arguably maybe better on level 2. Like, it's 50 cast range sacrificed for another 25 drain per second. So, you could argue that. I think it's worse on level 1 than before. The 200 cast range, I think, are more important than the 30 drain. And then on level 3, it's better than in the past, but... The Ags, so ultimately what does the Ags do right now? It increases cast range and it makes the cooldown 0, right? Does it also make the drain better? I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's the Ags or just normally you mana drain after a while, right?
Yeah, that's, okay.
Is that Ags or is that normal?
Can be improved by Aghanim Scepter. It increases drain per second, cast range, and sets cooldown to 0. So the Ags now increases total drain and cooldown, but doesn't change the range. Now... Okay, wait a sec. What? This seems horribly outdated. What I'm looking at right now. Life drain cast range from 1100 to 900. On this page, it says life drain's cast range is 850, and this is generally up to date. And it was 900 with Scepter. Okay, something isn't making sense here, but...
Well, regardless, the last patch, or the last time this hero was changed, it felt like Ice Frog wanted to be support, because you can leech your life into others, helping them out.
I think it was just more... I don't know if that was more of a... I don't feel like that was to try to make Pugna support, more as to just give him more flexibility in fights and make for some cool plays. Like, that was another one of those cool changes, you know? There was...
Okay. Well, there was also the Decrepify on teammates doing... Was it like half slow or something?
Yeah, it was better on teammates. Yeah.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah,
I mean,
it also made it better
changes-
as a support, but for me, this is still not a support
Do you think
hero.
that when you look at these changes, doesn't look anything like support, right?
Not really, no.
Okay.
And I don't think that I don't feel like it's going to be picked more because of the changes to the hero. If anything changes Pugna's popularity, it's the general changes to the game, not the hero itself.
Okay. Ricky Maru, smokescreen no longer slows attack speed, but the smokescreen now reduces turn rate by 30%. So
That's the second ability in the game that reduces turn rate.
with Batrider, Sticky Napalm.
Yeah, up until now, I think only Sticky Napalm does. If you have Ricky and Batrider in the same team, if that stacks,
I'm sure it
you
does.
actually...
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
So
Yeah.
what do you think about
I think
this?
it's okay.
I mean, it allows you to backstab more often, I guess, but if you have MKB, you can just stand there and attack, but if you keep ulting, is it called backstab, the ulti? No, the blink strike?
Yeah.
Takes them 30% longer to turn around. I don't know. I'd have to see it, I guess.
This is obviously a buff. Like, everything is... well, okay, no longer slows attack speed is, of course, a nerf, but the second part is a very big buff. Like, you want to stay behind the target, and if they turn slower, you have more time to move around.
I can't remember how much the attack speed was to begin with.
I can't remember either.
Alright, well, moving on. Not important at all. Rubik, Null Field, which is by a lot of people considered one of the worst skills in the game, now affects creeps. Thoughts?
It's pretty nice for the push. I can't remember what the radius is. I think the radius is like 900. So the problem is Rubik will still want to stay pretty far back, but in some situations you can like incorporate this into a push strat and make it harder to clear the waves. I don't feel like it's that big of a deal, but it's a nice buff that can work occasionally,
it's really
especially
good
if you're
there's
playing
a
it with
Nature's
Chen.
Prophet with Aghanim Scepter and he gets a kill on a hero with
Yeah,
his
and you get the
ultimate.
trees. Yeah, man, that's sick.
Right.
The thing is, though, Rubik is fairly often played together with Chen, and they have pretty good synergy with the
that's good.
tankiness of the creature. It's kind of nice.
Sand King, Caustic Finale has been buffed big time. The question is, are people going to skill it? This is a skill people just ignore, like literally not even a value level. Caustic Finale, duration from 8 to 6, which is a nerf, I guess, but it now always triggers via unit death or when the duration expires. If triggered by timer expiration, it deals 30% of the damage. And it doesn't reset every time you attack, so it's going to go off at the specified time every time. It now applies a 20% move slow when the damage triggers, whether it be via the timer or death, and the slow lasts for 3 seconds. So he has a stun and a slow.
You know, it doesn't say here, but I'm gonna assume that's not the case. Like,
What?
imagine if Caustic Finale stacked on the same target. Because it doesn't refresh the duration, but I think you can still only have one on a creep at a time.
Yeah,
Like,
I
else you
assume
hit the
that's
same creep
good.
4 times, it starts exploding 4 times till it dies.
But
So,
for, like, I know a lot of people are going to think about creeps in this scenario, but think about just normal ganking scenarios. You burrow strike a hero you're ganking, you attack him once, and that means in, what is it? How long? 6 seconds?
6
You'll get
seconds
a
is a
20%
20%.
move slow.
yeah, that's nice. I think this is definitely at least one value point for the slow.
That's the problem, though. I think that this is actually just one level. I mean, I don't say level 1 through 4, but I think you still just get one level now instead of 0. I guess that's an improvement.
I think so too.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, but that's just the way the hero's played right now. It makes more sense.
All right.
At least it gets skilled. I mean, it's better, right?
Yeah. Now this ability, or this change, I think is a pretty big deal. Shadow Demon. Shadow Poison mana cost has been decreased by 10. And the Aghanim Scepter, which of course gives you 3 purges, it now has the break, or now applies break, so that means disabling passive abilities. So like if you cast it on PA, she doesn't get blur, void. I'm just thinking of carries right now. And I assume this goes, I mean, it goes through BKB, the purge does, so I assume the break will as well.
Yes, this is actually really,
So
really good.
so the problem is, okay, so you have 2 scenarios now. First one, which we'll continue to talk about, Alchemist is on your team. This is a good hero to give Aghanims to. If not, Shadow Demon has to be a 4 position at best. Or, wait, at worst? No, at worst. And you have to prioritize farm. You could put him old school mid 1v1. I mean, he's pretty damn good 1v1, I think, but you don't see him there anymore.
He's a pretty cool core because of the Shadow Poison mana cost reduction. Like, that's great for all situations, but it's actually, this is his lane dominating skill, and the problem for Shadow Demon in lane is that he needs to cast it so many times that he actually drains himself dry, but this mana cost reduction is actually a pretty big deal. 20% is a lot, and whether you play him support or core, this is, for me, a very welcome change. I feel like Shadow Poison was too expensive for what it did. I think this is the best way of improving the hero, actually, the first point. And the second one is cute. In some games, it's going to be massive. I don't know if people are going to consider playing him core because of it. I think it's a really cool counter pick, like a 4th, 5th pick, if you see the enemy team has some really important passives. Maybe. It's nice. The first point is way more important, obviously.
Okay. Shadow Shaman. Base strength increased by 2, and strength gain increased by 0.2. Okay.
Nice.
Tankier.
This hero needs a little bit of love and some
tankier
tankiness
squish
as a
hero.
hero. Good
Silencer. Stuff. Base movement speed I almost said increase. Decreased by 5. Last word initially enemy cast allowance window from 5 to 4. But it no longer disarms. Instead, it applies a 20% movement slow whenever it triggers. Thoughts?
I think the slow is too weak, actually, compared to the disarm in a lot of cases. Like, this obviously completely changes the ability. Beforehand, it was really good in fights where you want to disarm the enemy carry, and if they don't have a spell to cast, they're actually really screwed. So you remove that part, but instead you get a more reliable ganker, which is really nice. It says whenever it triggers, so it actually doesn't matter whether they cast or not. They will always get slowed by last word. But it seems like a fairly low value.
It's almost like a Caustic Finale, except it's 4 seconds instead of 6.
Yeah. I think it's a buff to the hero overall in the support role, and probably a nerf in the core role, for me.
I don't know. I think it's... I'm probably wrong then, but I think this is worse. Unless they end up buffing the movement speed slow, because in fights, this is way worse if you're fighting.
Oh, the thing is, you get something...
Is huge.
You get something guaranteed, right?
Right.
The disarm wasn't guaranteed. This time, the way it says whenever it triggers, so I'm gonna assume it's always, right? Then in the past, if they cast a spell, they didn't get disarmed. And look, most heroes, when you're playing against Silencer, you keep an ability ready, or you have something. Like, sure, there's obviously some situations where you get the disarm, but you ultimately cores counter with BKBs and stuff. But this is very reliable in the early game, and
oh, actually, I just thought Rod of
feel like
Atos,
it's
which is an item that Silencers would pick up normally, it would stack with this, right? So that could be pretty good, actually.
Maybe. I said it was mainly better for supports than cores, but it can also be good for core Silencer, really. Then you have a way of chasing down. Like, problem with core Silencer is he can't really gank anyone unless he gets help, because they just outrun you.
Thankfully, there's a Sand King that has a slow now, so I think he's good.
Yeah, nice.
Slardar, Slithering Crush damage has been increased. May seem negligible, but there were... What else was changed that buffed this hero? Something at the top in the general. Crush is better now because of it.
The focus on ganking?
No, Stout Shield or block, damage block doesn't
apply.
Oh
yeah, Slithering Crush was blocked, I think. Yeah, you're right.
So that's
good. Pretty good.
And of course, Slithering Crush gets amplified by amplified damage, so
yes.
That's also something to keep in mind.
So the values here are a little bit deceptive because it's a physical damage type.
Right.
So it's actually can be really, really powerful.
All right. And the big one. Well, the big one everybody was waiting for. Sniper. Agility agility gain has been decreased by 0.4 per level. Shrapnel recharge time increased from 40 to 55 seconds. The delay of shrapnel increased from 0.8 to 1.4 seconds. Shrapnel now gives vision when the shrapnel lands rather than instantly, which means you have to wait 1.4 seconds. Headshot can now miss, so that makes it basically a non-butterfly evading. Means MKB might have to be picked up sometimes for sniper. And assassinate damage decreased as well. I'm
just looking at this, and it reminds me of TI2 post TI2 Morphling, who got like 6 nerfs in one patch. I still feel like these nerfs are smaller, and he can still be played, but for me this puts him on a more reasonable level. Like, This.
There's also a nerf to the item he usually picks up, but we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. Wow. Yeah, he gets hit super hard. I still think it's a. For me, this is not like an automatic first phase pick anymore, but it's definitely still a hero,
so
which is good.
It's not a Morphling / Tinker type situation.
I don't feel like it is. I still think he definitely has his value with the shrapnel, mainly. We'll see.
Scepter, reality no longer kills the target illusion and now swaps positions. So the way I think about this, the illusions are always there, and you just take place of one as you're using it. And if you swap to another one, like I guess
it's just a buff. Like now you always the entirety of reality will always hit all targets unless they can kill the illusions.
Wait, that means you can go back to your original position if you want.
Yes,
right?
That is true as well.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
You couldn't do that in the past. That's a good point, that you can like take a game. Let's say you're level 6 and you can find a kill on the map by using Haunt and jumping to it, and you quickly finish them off. You can actually get back to farming. That's really probably cool. That's really nice. Yeah, nice. What's the duration of level 1? Is 5, I think. 5 seconds. So you still need really good time.
6, 7, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Empowering haste cooldown from 16 whatever. Like
that spell seems so underwhelming. I welcome the buff.
That's a bottom 5 spell in the game. Bottom 5. That is the 5th or the 1st worst skill in the game. It is so bad. Tell me how I'm wrong.
It's actually really bad.
Oh,
it's
you actually
really
agree.
Bad,
okay.
Yeah. Wow. That one I would definitely put low as well.
Complete shit. And actually, I don't know if I brought this up last time. I know I brought it up to you. Something they should add, because his ult makes me very angry, is when you activate Empowering Haste, it gives you clear vision around an AoE, so you don't actually get fogged out of your freaking ultimate over and over.
Did you watch Starladder, though?
Yes.
Spirit Breaker got picked a lot, and you said this hero is shit.
I'm talking about pubs, man. I can't get off an ult, for God's sakes.
Get good.
God, I hate this hero. Okay. Storm Spirit. Movement speed decreased by 5, and Ball Lightning vision has been reduced drastically.
Yeah. Fair enough. It makes it harder for him. It makes it harder for him to find targets where he's jumping into the fog. And a lot of the time, Storm goes for ganks like that, where he gets a lot of information with his first ulti cast, and then he builds around that.
How much vision does Static Remnant give?
Flying radius of 300, maybe?
Okay, so it's less.
Or so.
I was going to say, if you Ball Lightning and then use the Static Remnant, maybe you get more vision, but I guess that's not the case.
I don't think, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the radius is a little higher. But
Sven. Warcry armor increased again. It's like 3 patches in a row. 20 armor at level 4. Holy ballsack, Batman.
That hero's good.
And your favorite hero of all time, Techies, landmines, activation. This guy got buffed out of this world.
My favorite hero, my favorite non-hero of all time.
He might actually be way more viable now, though. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Landmine activation delay reduced drastically, which means like Yule's is actually something you can set up with a mine very easily now. Same with maybe trapped activation delay, which is now 1.5. The detonation delay is 1.5. Suicide Squad cooldown reduced. And then somehow they found a way to take the idea for their Arcana, which is the minefield sign, and actually make it not... I don't know. It was kind of mind games. It was kind of stupid. But now the cooldown has been increased enormously, 300%. The sign now requires techies to walk precisely to the targeted spot, now has an area of effect targeting cursor, now has a lifetime of 180 seconds. And why is this important? Because when you get Aghanim Scepter, which every techies does, the upgrade now allows the minefield sign to make all landmines, stasis traps, and remote mines within 125 area of effect immune to True Sight. Basically Slark ult. There's the only 2 things in the game, I think, that can't be seen by vision. By True Sight.
Yes, I think you're right.
This is very strange.
There's something very important to keep in mind about this. The minefield sign has twice the cooldown of duration, so you can't have it down at all times. Correct? The cooldown is the cooldown is 6 minutes and it lasts for 3. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm just gonna go, the enemy needs 1 lane of racks, I go plant my minefield sign and I just put fuckloads of mines and they can never push. That's just not right. You know, they're gonna see the minefield sign, they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna have to wait until this minefield sign is gone. Now, it's the reason it says can only have 1 sign out at a time is techies could technically buy a refresher orb and place a secondary sign somewhere. But the refresher orb would allow him to, if he uses it properly, if he plants a minefield sign and immediately uses refresher, then he can. What is the cooldown on refresher again? Is 180?
It's like, is it perfect timing?
I think more or less. I need to check refresher here. So if he gets Ag's refresher, he can actually, but that's so expensive though. Like that's.
Techies can afford it. They get a lot of kills. All right, but here's the thing though. You're talking about like the practical uses. What about just putting a sign down with no mines there at all? That means they're not going to push for 180 seconds. Like, doesn't that seem ridiculous to you?
Well, then, well, yeah, okay, I guess I can see that, but then,
That's real mind games now. It's not like, oh, I have this cool Arcana thing, I'll just put it down.
Let me quickly check. Oh shit, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I want to find the refresher right now.
I can't say I've ever seen a Techies get refresher, but maybe we'll see it now. I don't know.
Regardless, I can't remember the exact cooldown of it, but yeah.
Well, it's
you could
around
technically,
it's like 180, 195, something like that.
I don't know. Dumb hero. Let's move on.
Okay. TA, meld cooldown reduced by 1. Okay. I'm going to keep going. Just stop me if you think something needs to be talked about. Reflection for Terrorblade cast range increased. It was such ridiculously low range. It's still kind of low, though. The illusion outgoing damage is now increased to be 100% at level 4. I think the hero still sucks.
This is an attempt at buffing him by going another route than the obvious one.
Right.
Which Ice Frog does a lot. I mean it's okay to buff him like that.
Right? So
I don't feel like he's going to get picked more for this. Not really.
Agree. Tidehunter Kraken Shell damage block increased by 8.
My god.
Keep in mind,
I feel like that was unnecessary.
he was also buffed with, again, the physical damage thing, Stout Shield not blocking, Anchor Smash.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he was nerfed in some manner. I don't know if we've gotten to it yet.
I don't think we've had that yet, no.
Okay.
If there is anything.
Timbersaw reactive armor now triggers when attacks land instead of when they begin, similar to the Centaur's return. Also, the armor max stacks have been increased to 20.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, now we can talk about one of the worst Aghanim Scepter in the game and if it's gotten better or not. Laser Hero Blind Duration increased. Rearm Mana Cost has been decreased slightly. And for Aghanim Scepter, the laser no longer has additional cast range, but instead now refracts to visible enemy heroes within 550 range. Thoughts?
So it says 550 bounce range. So I'm going to assume you laser someone, then it takes the closest hero, and then from there it also has 550. So it's like a chain, right? It's not like... yeah, it has to be like that, right? Okay. I want to say this is better than the old laser for 2 reasons. So the old one had double range when you had Ags.
Yes.
But it blinded for 3 seconds. This is a 4.5 second bouncing blind. That's actually really cool. I still consider it a gimmick, but it can definitely work. But the rearm mana cost change is actually huge. This hero uses mana constantly, and a reduction of even if it's only 25 mana on all levels, this is efficiency. It buys you more time around the map to have this. So, no matter how you look at it, Tinker obviously getting a big buff here, but whether the Ags is a worthy pickup, I'm still uncertain, because you always itemize against Tinker with BKBs anyway.
Yeah. I think it's better for fights, team fights, but
yeah. It's sick when the BKBs expire. Yeah. Like, that's just godlike.
I mean,
this laser.
it could be a good 7th item, to have in the courier or something.
Sometimes, yeah.